Happy Tuesday, Run Tribe Bike community. Welcome to our Fireside chat, which is part of the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. We are on our 145th episode now, which is crazy to say. I was thinking about this earlier and don't want to dive too much into this, but April will be 3 years since we launched the Fireside chat show, and that's mind-boggling to me. Probably we'll have more comments about that. I'm sure we'll definitely be celebrating it. But we don't want to hold up too long for bringing on our amazing guest, who's also been a contributor on our platform and has told their how it all started story. Today, we'll be joined by Luis Andarcia, who is a triathlete and the owner of APX Coaching. Luis is originally from Venezuela and grew up swimming. After moving to the US, he found further love for multi-sport and realized he could also coach others to do the same. We're going to be chatting about him with his progression through the sport of triathlon, how helping others fuels him, some of his setbacks and challenges, and of course, food. We can't do these shows without a little bit talk about food, especially Venezuelan food. We're going to have to dive into that a bit. And whatever questions Jason is cooking up, pun totally intended. Before we bring Luis on, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. We have 9 shows, which means that there's something for everyone, including the recently brought on board Melanin MVP with Angela Hallwell. And we really mean that. Q&A shows like Beyond the Finish Line, Running Tales, as well as our newest show, Melanin MVP. This is what happens when you got somebody who's on top of the notes and we're on the same waves. Man, whatever interest you have, we have a show for you, whether that's 15 minutes long or an hour long. But without further ado, let's bring Luis on the show and talk to him about how he got started in the sport, his coaching philosophy, and why he continues to participate in these sports. There we go. For a minute there, I brought you up to the center stage and it looked like it was going to send you back. And I was like, that's new. But welcome, Luis. I'm so excited to have you on the show. We obviously had a conversation on the Fiery Embers. You've told your story on how it all started, and you have an article coming out on January 30th on our platform, and it's a really great read, and we'll be diving into some of that on this show as well. Excited to have you on, man.
It's great to be back with you guys. Yeah, and looking forward to our chat. Yes.
So before we dive into the conversation, we have an icebreaker question, and it surrounds pizza and the toppings you put on pizza. So you might have heard this before if you've been on one of our other chats, but we have to ask it anyways. Are you ready for our icebreaker?
Ready for it? Yes.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
No.
Yes!
No, he said no.
Good, solid no.
He's right up there with Morgan Lattimore's response, which was no.
No.
I think Morgan said something about how this isn't a fruit salad or something.
That's exactly what he said.
This is very close to that. I love it. It was just a hard no. Oh man, I like that. I love that the people who say no usually have a follow-up explanation, and Luis is just like no, period.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, pizzas. Or pineapple is dessert. Pineapple,
yes,
it can be dessert, and it's a fruit. So I don't know. You can mix. I guess the idea of sweet and savory, it's good, but I have it comes in to me, sweet and savory comes in other dishes.
That's right.
Yeah, with good fried plantains. That's
yes.
Yes, there you go. So you know about this, Jason. Yeah, right. The fried plantains, when they're very ripe, they're super sweet. But you put them on the side with rice and beans and shredded beef. That's a beautiful combination.
You got to use the right words. Ropa vieja, not just shredded beef.
or carne mechada. Carne mechada for us.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah.
Oh man. Well,
sorry,
that's good enough.
You got the Latinos over here.
After going to New York and having fried plantains, that's a good enough reason for me.
There you go.
So I want to really dive into your story. before you did triathlon, you were a casual swimmer. You did participate in some team sports, but you were also drinking socially, and you were a smoker for almost 7 years before you started.
Correct.
And then
Yeah.
you were in college, and you ran into a coworker. So talk a little bit about that journey from basically not being a natural athlete, having those vices, and then making the jump into triathlon in 1992.
Okay, so well, I'll start from the very beginning. My dad is retired military in Venezuela. My mom was a stay-home mom, and had a younger sister. So my dad was always running. He was always running, and like he didn't run competitively, but he ran to just for exercise to stay in shape. And that's all I knew about sport. Venezuela, it's a baseball country. Okay, and I mean, name it, and if it has a Latino name, it's probably Venezuelan, and if it sounds Venezuelan, it's probably because it is a Venezuelan guy. Omar Vizquel, Galarraga, Miguel Cabrera, all these guys, and I don't know. There's like 350 something plus Venezuelans in the major league right now, from minor leagues to all the way to the top. Um, I didn't play baseball. I was in fourth grade. Bad bounce came to me, broke my lips. I'm like, I'm done with this. I used to throw the ball. I wanted the ball to go to first, and it would go to third base instead. So no hand-eye coordination there, and so that was the end of my baseball career. Um, 2000, no, not 2000, I was in fifth grade. Fifth grade, we moved to the U.S. for a year in a military exchange. So while in the U.S., I played baseball again. I played soccer. I played indoor soccer, and I forget what else. I played basketball. Of course, my hand-eye coordination was never on point, and I was just participating, no, not getting any further than that. Moved back in 2000 for sixth grade back in Venezuela, and there was no sports, nothing that I could relate with. Everything was just traditional sports: volleyball, basketball, baseball, and minimal soccer. And my ninth grade year, like, get introduced to cigarette smoking, and I started. I was 15 years old, 16 years old. I was started smoking with my high school friends, middle school, high school friends, and drinking is it's not legal if you're under 18, but like if you're with your family, it's probably accepted socially, and depending on your family, like you can fix a drink for or open a beer for your parents, for your uncles, and that's the way it goes in a family. It's not like you're going to a bar at 15 or 16 years old. um then well that I started drinking socially. Friends go out, we buy a case of beer, no problem. Everyone's playing dominoes, and we're just drinking. Getting to college, and the party goes on, and then like halfway or through college, like I start night school. I moved to night school. I start working during the day. I have an AA international trade. I start working for an imports company, and one of my coworkers, he's like 10 years older than me, and I'm like, I want to be like this guy, beautiful wife, two kids, like, and he's a triathlete. I'm like, what is this triathlon thing? I did have seen, going quick rewind here, when I was in sixth grade. I think like I walked in front of the TV, and I have this flashing image in my head. I walked in front of a TV, and I think I saw like the ABC Wide World of Sports Iron Man, and this is how a lot of us, like triathletes, old school triathletes, started the sport. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on there? And this is 1981, so it has to be something like that. Of course, there was some triathlon going on at that time, and um, so fast forward, like I have no idea. Got into a couple of in sixth grade. I was never formally in swimming, in a swimming academy or a swim team, nothing. But like I always went to the beach with my parents, like growing up. Like we grew up in between Caracas, which is the capital of the country. It's 40 minutes away from the beach, and Cumaná, which is the northeast of the country, and it's just like minutes from any beach. And you just drive, and you're 15, 20 minutes, depending on where you want to go. And we've just spent the winters of it, the Venezuelan winter in at the beach. Like it's 80, 90 degrees year round. So you jump in the water and you're playing with the waves and just hanging out, jumping around, and that's how you learn to swim. I My parents, I remember they signed me up to learn how to swim. I was probably in third grade there at that time, and I learned how to swim. I loved it. Sixth grade. Sorry, I'm going back and forth on the timelines there, but it's like it's everything popping up in my head as we're talking. In sixth grade, we're living in a military fort in Venezuela, and there's a small swimming pool, and there's like a it was from like a bigger city that was close to the fort. I think this is where the story is going more or less, or I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but someone brought in a bunch of kids from another city or another vicinity and said, let's do a swim meet. And I'll come and train you kids from the fort. It was like eight of us between the ages of 7. I was probably 11 at the time, 11, 12. And the older one was probably 14 years old. And they brought the team from the other from the other vicinity. They gave us like a month training, and I swim. So I've signed up for the 25 free, 25 back, and 25 breaststroke. I didn't know how to swim butterfly, and I win the 25 free. I went against the other kids, like and I win the backstroke, and I think I was like second on breaststroke. And you have a question?
Yeah, so you're going through this as a kid and you're winning, and you said you met a coworker as an adult who was in triathlon. Were
Yes.
you, when you talked to him about triathlon and you found out that it had swimming involved in it, because you said you didn't know what triathlon was that like a light bulb moment when you were like, look, as a kid I won, I was swimming all the time, like I can do this sport too?
So it was like it was a cool thing to do also. Like
Okay.
the cool guys were, so this is the time when the X Games started.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember when the X Games
I'm
started.
old enough, Luis. I'm 51 years old, so I remember 1981 and the ABC Wide World of Sports and Al Michaels.
So yes, so like X Games. So there's uh, triathlon was not an X game sport, but it was a new sport
Yeah.
to a lot of us. And there was mountain biking also, and mountain biking was getting into all this realm of new sports coming in. And I'm like, I mean, mountain biking requires a little more skills, and I'm not really like good at it, but I do enjoy. And we used to go. This is now like I'm gonna jump fast forward because during my high school, middle school, and high school years, there was no participation in sports for me. And so going back to your question with my coworker, like I had an idea. It was swim, bike, and run,
Okay.
but like exactly how it was, like I never seen one live. Like what is it? Does it entail? What do I need to get started? So he tells me, well, there's a pool close to our office, and you can go there on our lunch breaks, and I'll go with you. We'll swim together. Um, uh, uh, if you want to start doing it, I suggest you get a mountain bike because if you don't like it, you can still ride your mountain bike. Yeah,
Smart.
and then yeah, that was like, that's what I tell people that are starting the sport these days. Up to these days, I tell them that, like, don't spend all your money in a super
Hmm.
expensive bike. Like, just like go for something that's entry level. If you like it, well, put more money into it. But if you don't like it, just that you have that bike that you can use
Yep.
for other things. Um, I was going on night bike mountain bike rides because Caracas has a very beautiful mountain range. It's a national park on the north of the city, and I used to live 10 minutes on the bike away from the best trails for mountain bike. And every full moon, we would go. This is before we had bike lights and stuff like that. We would just go because it was full moon, and the light from the city would just help us also with the seeing what was around. And it was amazing to go on those mountain bike rides. So I'm thinking that I don't have great bike skills at that time, but I'm doing these night rides with these guys. I buy that same mountain bike. I start doing my long rides, an hour ride
Yeah.
for me with no training. Like I didn't know what Triathlete magazine was. I didn't know Triathlete magazine existed at the time. And he tells me, "Let's sign you up for this sprint distance race." And I'll pick you up and we'll go down to the sprint distance race, 45 minutes away from Caracas. So we drive down, and I have the mountain bike. I have a helmet. I don't even know if I had a helmet. Like I think I borrowed a helmet for that race, and I lace. Yeah, I jump in the water and I come out of the water first, out of the water, like not first, but like ahead of a bunch of people. Like
Yeah.
I'm ahead,
Fresh.
and so all the bikes are there. This is the joke. Like, yeah, I get out of the water. All the bikes are there. I lace up my shoes, put my gloves on. The helmet is backwards. Like, oh no, this is not the way it goes. People are telling me turn it around. Put on the helmet. I put a t-shirt on and my speedos, and I go, boom, and people start passing me. I'm like, this sucks. This is not fun. And then I rack my bike, and all the bikes are there again. Like, how did this happen? Yeah. So everyone that I pass in the swim passed me on the bike, and so all the bikes are there, and I get off my bike and I can't walk.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
this is the weirdest sensation I ever had in my life. Like my legs are not responding. And this is only a sprint distance race,
Right.
right? So yeah, it's 20K on the bike. Yeah. And I get off
Yeah,
the
but you're
bike
on a
and
mountain bike. There's a
yes,
lot of resistance.
that's true. Yes, yeah, yeah. Like it's funny because I bought this bike computer, and the bike computer was in miles, and it was always 13 miles per hour. I'm like, this thing, like I didn't know it was in miles. I thought it was kilometers. I didn't know
Yeah.
what it was. Like this is like, I mean, we're in kilometers over here. I'm going at 13 something over here. This is super slow. Like, if I ride at 13 miles per hour right now on my tri bike, I fall sideways.
Yeah. And not to mention, you went from a fat tire like on a mountain bike to the slicks that you're rolling on now, I'm sure, too.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, it was like, but the
Um,
good thing, like I finished the race. I didn't finish dead last, and I started to get in uh, the whole community of triathlon then, and starting to meet new people. And I said, like, I want to do this again, and I'm going to do it better next time.
Yeah.
And I think about it, and like it it brings tears to my eyes, and makes me my throat like a knot in my throat, because after 32 years I'm still wanting to do it better.
Yeah.
It's that passion, that excitement of the first time. Every time I go to a race, even though I've been doing this for 32 or more than 30 years, I'm like, I say it's 1992 when I started, and I'm pretty sure it was around that time because I don't keep track. Like, I haven't kept track of how many races I have done in all these years. And I was thinking about this the other time, a few nights ago. Like, if I go on Athlinks, they will know how many races I've done here in the US.
Right.
But how about the races that I did before in Venezuela from 1992 to 2004? Like all the sprint distances, all the Olympic distances. And I remember a handful of half Ironmans, always racing in Venezuela. I never raced outside Venezuela until I moved here. But I always go with that same passion, and like, yeah, it's
When you,
exciting.
when you,
um, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to ask Luis, when you first started participating in racing and triathlon, Did you have a sport that you loved to do out of the three? And over the course of that time, has it changed to today? Where is it a different sport and why?
Well, so if like a little fast forward after I started after I did that first sprint, I like the a good group of of the triathletes of the community that I knew was swimming at SI at San Ignatius in Caracas, and only if you had if you were a San Ignatius graduate or if you were a triathlete, you were able to swim there. And if you knew someone that knew someone, like okay, you're a triathlete and you're with the team, you're going to swim with the masters. And well, what's your commitment? You have to swim with a swim team and compete nationally with a swim team. So we had to do 3 swims a year with a swim team, and this was like we would travel the country and go. It was in April, it was in June, July, and then in September, something like that, October. And of course, I started loving swimming more than anything else. I was swimming 5 nights a week. From we would meet at 5:30 at the pool and start doing the dry land training, and then we would jump and swim 27 3,000 meters, like, and every night. And I got really good at swimming. I did this for 5 6 7 years in a row. And the bike, I always struggled on the bike those years, but I knew that I had to work on it, and I started getting 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers rides on the weekends. And then running, I wasn't running much. I was doing only short distance, so I was running 20 half marathons at the most. And always with that, I always had that old school mentality of like doing sprints, Olympics, and be more like aware, or be careful with the longer distance, because you can get injured.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thought at the time, at least what I learned. I used to collect triathlete magazines, and like I would rip the pages like with the training and stick it, like I think I talk about this in my article. Like I would paste the pages on my closet, like the closet door, and this is the training for this week, and this is like 12 weeks to a sprint distance, 12 week to Olympic distance, and like okay, this is where I am, and this is what I would do. And of course we had the masters coach tell us what we're doing during the week, and all the triathletes were doing the same thing. So why not? Why vary from that? And yeah, so I was coming out of the water always in the top 5 of my age group, top 10 of my age group, and then I would fall to like 20th in the age group. And yeah, the age group in Venezuela, I mean, it's a small triathlete community. It was a small triathlete community at that time. It was like 300 triathletes, 400 triathletes nationally, and the races were small most of the time. So coming in the top 5, it was a very competitive. I have to say, I only got on the podium once in my years in Venezuela, and then it was always I would always be fourth or fifth in the age group, and it was always the top 3 guys at the same time. And the only time that I was about to, like, I was not fighting for second place. I was a solid second place in my age group. It was a half Ironman, and I missed the last cone
Oh,
on the turnaround before entering the final shoot, the yeah, and the finish line shoot. And like the guy that was coming in third place said, "You missed the last cone." I'm like, "What?"
oh,
Yeah, I'm like, "You were like 30 seconds behind me." And he's like, "But you missed it." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, you're disqualified." Yeah, so
yeah. Those are the
uh,
rules.
that was the rule. And I mean, as the rule is, as an athlete, you have to know the course.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was my fault. So I guess that's a little thorn still in my in my chest there about that race. But yeah, then I came here and kept racing and got better. And yeah, but I don't want to keep babbling. Just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you have more questions for me,
Well, you mentioned like, okay, well, that's like, a mental thorn. You've also dealt with some physical injuries and setbacks over the years. And I sort of think this ties into the question of like keeping your passion for the sport. You've been doing triathlon since 1992. Like, I'm curious about like how your why has evolved. It sort of leads into the question, and you've mentioned this in your article, which comes out on January 30th, of suffering that meniscus tear in 2010. And then you suffered a fracture and then had a 4-year hiatus. But the biggest one was the two AFib episodes that sent you to the ER in 2023, which we were talking about in the green room. So when you've had those setbacks and challenges, how are you able to find your love for the sport again every time and continue to be able to be passionate about this sport?
uh, I like. Well, I don't know. You know, it's it's it's. I think it's. I don't know. It's an unconditional love. I have no idea. Like it's seriously. I have two kids, right? I have two boys, and I love my kids unconditionally. You know, and for those who have kids, you would know that this is a totally different kind of love. If you don't have kids, well, I don't know. This is a love that you don't have for your parents. This is a love that you don't have for your mom, your wife. You don't love anyone like that. Your partner. You don't love like this, and, until you see that kid come out. Of course, it comes with a lot of sacrifices. You know, like you give away a lot after you have a kid, but that doesn't mean that I love them less. You know, and I think uh, I'm not trying to compare the love of triathlon with the love for your offerings, but um, like it's just brought me so much uh, gratification. You know, it's like, and also like it feels good to just go out for a run. Now, like I enjoy more running. This is tied to the your previous question, Jason. Um, uh, that like which of the three sports I love the most? Oh, it also depends on the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
I go out for like I went for a run this morning. It was like sorry the people in the northwest, I mean northeast, that are complaining. They're under minus whatever Fahrenheit. It was 36 Fahrenheit this morning when I went for a run, and I was like, it's so hard to get out on this cold. And when I was out, I was like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Like there was frost on the grass. You know, I was thinking like, oh man, I wish that there was snow here. Like, and then there's a coyote running next to me, and yeah, this was like, and I was alone for most of the time. It wasn't a long run. It was just under 3 miles, which is super short because I had a lot of stuff to do this morning. But like, it was like, it was so good. It felt so good, you know, to go out on that run. And but then there's and I don't know if we're allowed to mention Zwift over here, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's get some
Sponsorship money.
yeah, sponsorship money from Zwift. But like they're doing the Tour de Zwift, and I had
Hmm.
missed the Tour de Zwift last year because of my AFib situation, and I started doing the Tour de Zwift this year. I'm like, I forgot how fun this is, you know, and I'm signing up for the long stages, and I'm like, I know that I have to get on the higher gear before the race starts so I can keep up with the front group, because otherwise I'm gonna be just like trying to catch up with the rest of the peloton. And like, and this suffering is gonna go of this first 5 minutes. It's just suffering, but then everyone's gonna settle into a pace.
Yep.
So this is all mental stuff that and and like that's probably what keeps me in the sport. That rush, that sensation, that because as I'm talking about this, I don't know if you can uh, see
You
my
can hear it.
emotions.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I get excited about this.
I in the green room we were talking. I haven't raced a triathlon Ironman distance since 2019. I did the bike leg at Indian Wells a couple of years ago, but we live here in Southern California now, and I bought a new bike. And there's a climb out here that's about a mile and a half, 2 miles at an 8% grade, and it's hard, right? You're grinding, and but you get to the top, and there's no greater feeling like of accomplishment than when you get to the top. I stop every time I get to the top. I take a picture and then descend. And, it takes me 20, 22 minutes to climb, and it takes me about 3.5 minutes to descend.
To get
And
down.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like you, I still keep swimming and cycling as part of my run training because I love doing them all. Like they all present different challenges with different,
Yes.
gratifications when they're done. Like unlike you, when I got out of the water to go to the bike rack, like the bikes were gone,
They're
right?
gone.
Like, they were gone.
Yeah.
So it's a different experience for me, but it's still like that challenge of getting in the water and accomplishing a set, whether that's 1,500 or 5,000. There's just a sense of accomplishment when you're able to do that, and there's a peace around you that I think you can take from sport into other parts of your life. And so I wanted to ask that question. So, every sport presents challenges. Your health presented you a challenge. When you're going through the training of the hard stuff and you're successful in getting through the daily training and the daily routine, like we talked about, Ironman training is a part-time job. You build a confidence. Have you noticed, like, when you do things outside of sports, so whether that's parenting or running your own business or being, a spouse or whatever it is, have you seen that you've been able to take things that you've learned in sport and apply that to outside of life?
Well, for many years now, um, and this is probably for the last 15, 20 years, I I've seen triathlon as a philosophy also. You sign up for a race and that's your goal, right? And the goal is, I heard this as I was listening to a book today, and goals are linear, right? So you set up that goal and you set up training plan, and you have that race. Like I'm signed up for Oceanside on April 5th, and my goal is to qualify for Marbella. I want to go to Marbella this year, and there's a plan, but things can happen, right? And get sick, you hopefully not get injured, and but or a trip comes by, or something happens that you need to like change your training in a certain way, and you get to race day, and you prepared or not, you have to do it, and you don't qualify or you qualify, right? And same thing with life, like uh, it's like you want to buy a house, you want to get married, you want to have kids, and it's the same way, and you want to raise your kids in certain way, and you want to have certain relationship with your wife. I'm divorced twice now, so it's like things haven't gone exactly the way I planned, but I'm still here, and I'm rebuilding again, a new plan, new training plan, new life goals, and and it's the same thing. Like I think it's totally uh, trans transla- translatable. I don't know if that's a word,
Yeah.
or you can
Yeah.
totally like go on in parallels, with
Hmm.
triathlon training and your goals, your financial goals. Like you're gonna have hiccups, in those goals, but what you got to learn how to get up again.
Yeah.
You get up again. You got it flat in the freaking Ironman. And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna retire? Like this is another race that I was aiming for podium, and it's just like it was I think it was 2019. I'm at the marine triathlon, the one at McNear's Beach, and like I'm out of the water, like one of the top ones out of the water overall, and I was in super great shape that year, and that's the year that I had the hip fracture, and then I'm like on the bike, and I'm like, it's just an Olympic distance. This is my thought before the race.
Mhm.
I've been doing this for so long. If I get a flat, I'll just, I'm not gonna get a flat. That's my thought. But if I get a flat, I'll just don't finish. And I get a flat on the back tire. I get a flat on the back tire. People from all age groups stop to help me, and I have deep rims, and I have nothing that can help me. Nothing can
Yep.
help me. Yeah, I like nothing. There's nothing that can help me if replace that tube. Mile 20 of the bike. I get on my bike. I start walking. I carry the bike. This is not gonna work. I'm gonna be too far back. And I get on the bike again, and I just lean into the front of the bike, and I start riding, putting all the weight on the front, and I made it to the finish, and to the transition area. I got on my running shoes, and had the second fastest run split in my age group. And so this is like, what's your goal? Like,
Yeah.
do you want to finish? Where do you want to go? And somehow, no matter the circumstances, you're gonna, if you want it, if you really want it, you're gonna get there.
I'm going to ask a
That's
follow-up question to this
sure.
because it's not a serious question. So in the green room, you talked about pumping up your tires and the tube popping and the sound is frightening. So which sound is worse to you, when you pop a tire as you're inflating it, or that sound when you get a flat and
No,
it's like
that's the worst.
I
Because
bet that
like,
one's like no, 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 no.
exactly, like you look around, and is it me? Is it me? Is it me? Yes, it's me. Darn. And you're in
it's
the
the
middle of the race,
worst.
like that, because again, like as we were talking in the green room, like I was in the transition area, so I still have some time to fix it. It's not racing ball, and it's an Olympic race, distance race. It's like you're gonna lose some time there.
Yeah,
And if it's an Ironman, you're gonna lose some time, but you should be
you can make it
changing
up in
this
an
tire
Ironman. Yeah,
under 5 minutes.
yeah.
Like you should be doing this under 5 minutes, if you're, or less. Like, yeah, it should take you. You should be changing a tire really quick.
But when you have
So
those deep rims and um, the tubes and they're trying to get all that stuff out on those deep rims, it's such a pain in the ass, man. And then you start to get nervous and trying to get it all out. It's
yeah,
hard.
but you got to practice that too. That's part
Yeah,
of your
you do.
training.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's part of it.
absolutely.
Yeah, I have my athletes do that. Like, you got to change your tire. Learn how to change. You don't know how to change your tire. I'll come and help you.
Yeah,
But we gotta deflate that thing and put it back on, and make sure you have extra ones, because you don't want to pinch it.
and know how to use your CO2 cartridge properly, because people
Exactly.
will use the CO2 cartridge and it won't fill anything up, and now you're screwed again.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Carry two CO2s and two tubes always. Yeah.
Here's another thing that I
Okay.
will impress upon triathletes. One of the things that I did is on the down tube, I would put two pieces of black electrical tape on the down tube, so that in case anything came apart or you needed to do something, you could just peel that black electrical tape and hold things in place for a little bit of time, hopefully.
That's a good tip.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and but that's the stuff. Like if you're not experienced with this stuff, talk to guys
Yes.
like Luis, talk to guys like myself who've been around these sports, because more than likely we've experienced, a majority of these things, or we've participated in events with others who have experienced a lot of these things.
Yes.
And that's how you learn and grow in this sport, is by communicating with each other and working with each other to figure this stuff out.
And like, on one thing that you mentioned, the electrical tape, I carry, like, not, this is not snack money. Okay, this is like, I carry like $1 or $2
Yeah,
single bills. Like, if you don't have anything to patch your tube, you
that's right.
put that dollar bill there, and that will hold. If it
Yep.
cuts the tire, like, that will hold the tube inside. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that's one of the best things. Yeah.
It's just crazy hearing
Yeah,
about like all of this is like obviously alien to me, but it's crazy hearing about like all the nuances from experience of like just patch it up with this, just do this, just do that from like the learning experiences. And of all the things I would have imagined, I would not have imagined a dollar before like putty or something like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
The dollar bill is a great trick. It's not snack money. You get your own coffee shop or gas station money, put that on the side from the dollar
that's a
bill.
side. Yes, yeah, yeah. You don't want to use those dollar bills, the two $1 bills that you have there in your bike gear stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's a lot of things about the sport of triathlon, and as a coach, right? I'm sure you're passing along tips and tricks and ways to help them, like the dollar bill or now the electrical tape. But practical advice for people who are just getting into the sport, right? Like you and I found this through the wide world of sports and Ironman and hearing the music and everything else. And now there's an endless supply of information. But as a coach and a person who's been involved in this for 30 years plus, has there been one or two lessons that you've learned along the way that you're like, look, everybody needs to understand this?
Let's see. Well, the sports is evolving, right? A lot. It's changed completely from the gear to how you train, and like uh, many years ago when I started, I would have said like just follow the guys that know what they're doing, or at least seem to be knowing what they're doing because they're being successful, right? At the races. And what do I mean by that? Well, they're top of their age group, like swim with them, ride with them, run with them. And then then I would like fast forward now, like do some more research on like what's a new gear, get the help of other people, like make sure that you're not spending $10,000 on a bike before a race, and then it's your first race, and now you hate the sport, because that's what happens with triathletes, or first timers, not with
Mm-hmm.
triathletes, with first timers. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
You do one, two triathlons, and then you're done. Like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. I did a couple of triathlons, I'm not doing it anymore. Or someone like us, like we're like going like for 30 years plus, and still wanting to do more and more and more triathlons. I want to keep doing triathlons until I probably fall dead somewhere. I don't know, but
The
knock
age
on
group
wood,
on
it's
your
not that way.
the age
Yeah,
on your
it's
calf is
over. Yeah.
77.
Exactly. Like, yeah, there's 77 plus.
Yeah.
And like, okay, there's no more registration for you guys. So, but yeah, like, yeah, make sure, like, and uh, I'm not trying to sell myself here, but get a coach. You know, you're struggling. You're struggling with your swim. Like, what's happening? You swim, you put all those miles at the pool, and you go to the race, and you're swimming 2 minutes, 2 minute 100s. Like, if you're putting 5 days a week on a swim, like, you should be swimming sub 2 minutes, at least 150s, anywhere around there. And depends on the person, but I would expect that from and correct me if I'm wrong, but uh, yeah, like, and again, yeah, make sure you know your nutrition, make sure, because there's a lot of stuff now. Practice your transitions, and it's basic stuff, but that learn to change a tire, learn to change a flat. Why not learn the difference between like tubeless and tubes, like why, like, make that decision yourself. Don't let anyone tell you that you should use this because
Yeah.
this is better. That's, yeah, my 2 cents there. I think, yeah.
Yeah. appreciate the insight on that for a skill set that I have absolutely zero of, but but it is very awesome to hear all the nuances, and I do think that like Jason mentioned it earlier, but like the application of like getting I think one like reaching out to people around you who have made those mistakes is important, but also to like uh I've learned from the last year and a half when I had a coach that stressing the importance of having a coach and finding someone. Um, and I before we move on to the rapid fire section here, I actually want to give you the space to let people know where they can find you if they want to work with you and APX coaching.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for that. So I'm on Instagram and my handle is Landarcia, which is L for Luis, and my last name Andarcia, Landarcia. So at Landarcia on Instagram, Luis Andarcia on Facebook, and my coaching website's Andarcia, my last name, performancecoaching.com. There it is. There.
Perfect.
Love that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Before
Yeah.
we get into the rapid fire, I do want to add something to what Luis was saying earlier about finding the group to swim, bike, and run with. Don't be intimidated by them. They're going to be people faster than you. There's always going to be somebody faster than you, unless you are, on the podium. And the story I want to share is when I got into the sport of triathlon, my cycling was okay at best. That's how I would describe it. And I used to train with a guy, Jeff. His nickname was Goat because he could climb every hill with ease. And, he was like a mountain goat. And he'd be waiting for us at the top when we'd finally get there. And I would chase his ass all over North Texas. And I went from riding a bike about 15, 16 miles an hour to racing an Ironman and finishing the 112-mile bike ride, averaging 20 miles an hour. But that only happens because I went out and rode a bike chasing this guy around all over the place. So get in the pool with faster swimmers, get on the bike with faster cyclists, run with people that are slightly faster than you, and you'll get better because you will push yourself to get better. So I second his commentary about getting, training with people that are faster than you at different levels of the sport for sure.
I want to. I don't know if we have time still, but like,
Yeah.
I want to make a comment and just you telling me about this story with the person that you were riding with. I used to ride in Caracas with a good group of people. They were strong cyclists, and so I bought my first triathlon bike. So I'm riding a carbon Kestrel, like beautiful, in cut-off jeans, and yes, yes, yeah, and I like wrapped two flip flops in the back of the bike in case I had a flat. So yes, I'm on that 2000 at that time it was $2,000 Kestrel. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was yeah ages ago. But yeah, it was one of the first carbon bikes, and yeah, I'm like, but I'm riding with a super strong cyclist. I was out there, and he's like, "What are you bringing those for?" I'm like, I just told you, yeah, in case I get a flat. I'm like, dude, okay, like, no problem. And he's all with his nice kit and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But anyway, things changed now. I like, yeah.
My one tip, if you're going out cycling with a faster group, is download the GPX file to your bike computer or your watch so that if they drop you, you know where to keep going and you'll be fine. You'll meet them at the end and have coffee and pastry anyway.
Yes, and make sure your phone is charged if you don't know how to do the
Yeah,
GPX thing, because if your phone is charged, you just get an
you're good.
Uber or
Yeah,
something and you're
exactly.
fine. Yeah.
We've all been in that situation too.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, Luis, we're going to jump into our rapid fire food questions. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to answer them as fast as possible. It just means we're going to keep asking them until we run out of time. So
Okay.
most of this stuff has to deal with, the carbs that we fuel ourselves with for the sports that we participate in. Oreo cookies. Are you a fan of Oreos? And if so, do you like the old school Oreos or do you go with the double stuff Oreos?
Old school Oreos. And I do not keep them at my house. But yes, I do not, because it's yeah. I can't. I can't. I would be eating them all the time. Like I go with my younger son. We go to the yogurt place, and they have the broken down Oreos, and I just put them on the yogurt on top, and yeah. So yes, I do Oreos. Yeah,
Fantastic.
and
Do
the
you
old
like
school. Yes.
old school Oreos? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of licorice?
No.
Nope. All right, so skip that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Candy corn. Is candy corn a
Nope.
real?
Nope. No
was
licorice, no candy
quick.
corn. Yeah.
That was quick action. That's the only right answer.
It is the only right answer. What about Peeps? Are you a fan of Peeps? Are they a real candy? Or are they? That face tells me
I don't
no.
even know what it is,
I
what
love
this
it.
is.
I love it.
I will describe it in what it actually is, which is a marshmallow candy covered in glittery sugar,
Yeah.
and they usually sell it around Easter.
No, pass on that. Yeah. You know what? I'm a dark chocolate fan.
Okay.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I'll do chocolate, dark chocolate, almost anything. You
Dude,
know,
dark chocolate over milk chocolate any day. I am
Yeah.
on that
yes,
boat.
yeah, yeah. Of course, I like when I was younger. You like the younger you are, the more sweets you like. You
Yes.
know, and it doesn't matter. But then your palate starts changing. It's like, oh, dark is it's the best. You know, like, and the less sugar in it, the higher the amount of cacao in it, it's better. So yeah, yeah. But
I
I don't know
like
if
it.
you have more candy questions there.
Oh
Let's
yeah, we've
let's
got
hear
all the
it.
candy questions, Luis.
Okay.
But before that, creamy or crunchy peanut butter or nut butter if you're allergic to peanut butter.
Crunchy. Yeah,
Yes. When
yeah.
do you make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches then?
I do not. I mean, this is like I remember I'm from Venezuela,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
these
yeah.
things are like this is not very common in this is stuff that you used to see in the movies. You know, like peanut butter and jelly. This is a U.S. thing. You know,
Yes.
we don't do that here. We have arepas here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
so better. And I'd rather eat that too. What's your favorite stuffing in an arepa?
arepa. Yeah, well, oh man, I can have arepa with anything. You know, almost anything. um, I would, yeah, scrambled eggs. You know, scrambled eggs to start. Yeah, for
Ooh.
breakfast, or a quick dinner. Then I would go to like ham and cheese, just
Yeah.
quick. And or if you want to go fancy, then you go to carne mechada or shredded beef or ropa vieja,
Hmm.
and with grated white Venezuelan cheese, which is a little salty and it's a hard cheese, and you grate that on top and with it shredded beef and some butter, and oh, that's yeah, yeah,
Can't
heaven
a-
on earth.
I can't
Yes,
ask my
yeah.
next question because I'm drooling already. Well, you're here in the States now, so
Yes,
I got to imagine it's not as easy to get arepas here in the States. So after
I
you have a
make them at
hard,
home. Yeah,
oh, even better.
yeah.
What's your go-to recovery food after a hard swim, bike, and run?
Okay, depends on what's on the fridge. Like I have leftovers right now, ground beef that I made for bolognese sauce,
Oh,
and so I would like this is what I did for breakfast today after my run. So I came back from my run, and I had tortillas in the fridge. I had tortillas and I had cheese, so I had some kale. I took my time, right? So I took my time. I had time for breakfast, but it was not much time. I was able to reschedule a client, but I did have a call at the same time, but I could take the call from here. So I didn't have to go to a client. So I had time to make this nice breakfast after my run. So I get home, I had kale, and like I sauteed the kale. I put a couple of cherry tomatoes, make it like all there, sauteed the veggies, put it on the side, threw the meat in to warm it up, and put it on the side, and then threw the eggs, scrambled the eggs while the tortilla was warming up, and melting the cheese, and then put all that together, mix it up with the scrambled eggs, the beef, and the kale and the tomatoes, and put it all in a bowl with the tortilla at the bottom and the cheese, and then grab that thing and chow that. That was amazing. I put some what do you call it? Cayenne on top. Yeah.
That's the
Oh.
only happy ending. I love that you went through all the description. You're like, man, I grabbed that thing and just ate it.
Yes. Yeah. Chow on that. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Uh, Belgian chocolate double dark. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
uh, do you have a favorite flavor of cake? Do you like cake?
I do not like cake, but so I do like the Venezuelan style bread pudding.
Okay.
Okay, it's a little less mushy, it's a little more dense, more bread, but it's still sweet, and you add raisins to it,
Ooh,
and maybe some people add a little bit of rum, and that's amazing. It's the bread pudding. It's one of my favorites. I like the tres leches,
yeah.
and I like the quesillo. Or quesillo, it's like a flan, but a little more, a little harder consistency also. Yeah. So yeah, but don't give me any cake. Yeah, any
Yeah.
other cake. Yeah.
Puerto Rican here, and my family will disown me, but I like flan. I can't get behind. I find it to be too soft.
Oh
But
yes, right.
but
But the quesillo,
maybe
it's a little
this,
like
yeah, a little
yes.
sturdier.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Oh, you cut that. Yeah. Oh man, it's so good, and you have the caramel coming off on top. Yeah.
All right. So you're on the bike for a couple of hours. You have to stop at the gas station. What's the candy bar you're grabbing at the gas station?
Snickers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Why
It's hard to
wait?
beat, right?
Really satisfies.
It does. It's so hard to beat. It's such a great
Yeah.
candy bar.
Yeah.
You drink coffee?
Yeah, a decaf. Yeah, but I do
Decaf.
drink
Okay.
coffee. Yeah. Yeah. I
How
have a
about okay?
double. Yeah. I have a double shot cappuccino every morning. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Last question before we let you go. There's a tray of brownies on the table. It's cooled off a little bit. Are you going to the edge of the brownie tray, or are you going into the middle for the ooey gooey part?
The corner. Went to the corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Need a handle, right?
Yes.
A little
Yeah.
crunchy on the edge, a little,
And I
something to hold
bite the
on
edge
to.
first. I'll go from the edge towards the center. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Luis, thank you for joining us for our fireside chat. Had a blast, learned a lot about the sport of triathlon, you growing up in the sport, and your coaching with APX Coaching. If people want to get in touch with you, make sure you check out his website and find him on Instagram at L Andarcia, Andarcia. Luis, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you the next time we have you on the show, because we're going to have you back on to talk more food.
Looking forward to it. Jason, thank you so much, guys. It was really fun to be here tonight.
Thank you.